We have so many people in the last week that we are on air to thank for their support over the years. One of them is the #1 employee of Breitbart News, Breitbart.com. He's a personal friend of mine, and he loans us every week the irrepressible Matt Boyle. Alex Marlow, thank you. Welcome back to America First. And I want to say in front of our millions of listeners live across the nation, thanks for being such a member of the team for the last 6 years.
Dr. G, this is sad now. I was so happy to get the call to be on your show. As always, I love being on your show. This is one of my absolute favorite shows on all of radio. I can't believe how good of a broadcaster you are. You're just a fantastic broadcaster, and you bring the heat. You're a warm person. It's just you're going to be so missed. I love where you're going, and I know that the Trump administration won't last forever, and you'll be back on the airwaves one day. But I'm going to miss you personally, and thanks for all you've done for me over the years.
Well, thank you kindly. I feel like, I may have left Breitbart 8 years ago to join the administration, but we're still members of the same team, and it's Team America. We're so excited to, have Matt in his elevated position, not just as Washington bureau chief, but covering the White House. So I'm sure I'll be seeing Matt on a regular basis. Let's talk about changes. Let's talk about the outgoing ancien regime. Here we have the man who is allegedly the president of the United States being discussed by the superlative Lisa Booth. This is Cut 10. Who is Joe Biden?
Also, Joe Biden is a prolific liar. He has always been. He's one of the biggest liars in American history, and he's also going to go down as one of the most corrupt. I mean, how corrupt is it to sell out your fellow Americans to make a dime, to make a buck off of us, right, and the offices that you hold? We know we have these photos because America First Legal through litigation against the National Archives and Records Administration, but we've long known that this is the game of the Biden family.
Now, you've literally written the book on the Biden clan, Breaking Biden. Everybody needs to get Breaking Biden. They lost this case. The archives lost this case. Photographs of Joe Biden with Hunter leveraging access to Xi Jinping of China. I got to ask you, as people are talking about the legacy of Jimmy Carter, rest in peace, what's the real legacy going to be for Joe Biden? I don't want to put words into your mouth, but for me, it's got to be Afghanistan and the laptop.
Yeah, those are going to be the big ones. I think the Afghanistan withdrawal is going to be big, and I think the willingness to sell out the American people is going to be huge. We're just starting to get a sense of all of Hunter Biden's crimes, and I just hope that Republicans don't feel like just because he was pardoned, that we shouldn't continue to look into him. But if you notice the broad scope of the pardon, the most widespread in American history, all of this shows what I believe to be true, which is that he's still involved deeply with Chinese businesses, and he continues to make has equity stakes and makes probably 8 figures worth of money from the Chinese government and Chinese government-blessed businesses. And we just haven't figured that out yet because we haven't been able to look. I don't have that sort of access as an independent journalist. But he absolutely is one of the most corrupt politicians in the history of the country. He is one of the biggest liars in the history of the country, and he's a bad guy. It's whatever you say about Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Carter was a terrible president, terrible post-president. No one says he's a bad guy. I spent way too long researching Joe Biden, and all the evidence points in one direction. He's a bad person, and he raises bad people.
So a lot of people who aren't attorneys looked at that pardon and they said, well, it's this unprecedented pardon for Hunter Biden going back a decade, blah, 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 blah. And it basically means the whole clan gets off. I've read it. It doesn't apply to anybody else. It applies to him and crimes he committed. Yeah. If we don't see a raft of pardons for James Biden, Frank Biden, for the president himself, there's nothing to stop President Trump, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and the Republicans on the Hill getting to the bottom of all this in the next 4 years, is there?
Yeah, there's not. I feel like President Trump, though, wants to be a unifying figure, and he wants to be a president for everyone. He's not committed to the Republican Party, and I love that about President Trump. And I say this, Dr. G, as a guy who registered as a Republican when I was 18 and never unregistered. So
well, what does that mean? That's interesting. So unpack that. Yeah. I love this because it really is important. President Trump is not committed to the Republican Party because this is the incredible situation that President Trump is now coming in as a second president, but he's doing so with the mantle of still being an outsider, Alex.
That's right. It makes my heart sing to talk about this. It really does. It makes me so happy because part of what I love about President Trump is that he sees the Republican Party as a vehicle to get done good stuff for this country. And if you want to change the name of the party to the pizza French fry party, and that was the best way to get stuff done, he wouldn't care. He's just trying to get stuff done for this country. And I say this as a Republican who's always been a Republican. I love that he doesn't care about the party. He cares about the values. And I find this to be so profound.
It's fascinating. I've never thought of it that closely, but he's never said things that are about shielding the party or burnishing the party. Not once. It's about America.
He's the greatest Republican of my lifetime, and without any allegiance to the Republican Party. Doesn't that say something about politics in Washington?
So to that end, how is he going to walk the tightrope? We see the endorsement of Mike Johnson today.
Yeah.
Is he going to be the outsider who happens to be in the White House, who's having to corral the Republicans on the Hill? What's your expectation for the next 4 years?
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like in some of his efforts to try to be the president for everyone, which is his job, and I understand it, I'm afraid that he won't end up doing some of the more hardcore stuff like investigating the Biden brothers, which he should. Yeah. Between the two of them, they've fleeced charter schools. They have businesses in Iraq, and they got businesses in Costa Rica, and all over the world. They pop up, and all of a sudden they're making money, and it's all through government deals. And I would love all of that to be unpacked. I don't know if he's going to care to do that because he wants to get stuff done that really cements his legacy and not just everything they say about Trump is not true. He's not vindictive. He wants to move ahead. He's trying to move forward and trying to help the country.
If he were vindictive, Hillary would be in a supermax right now for the rest of her life. Editor-in-chief, employee number one, Breitbart.com. Bookmark it right now. Follow him at Alex Marlow. We're going to continue the discussion in the break. We've got to talk H1. What is it? H1B visas. We're going to discuss that as well, and so much more here on America First. Keep abreast of the breaking news by giving us a follow as well. We're on all the social media platforms that include Truth Social, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Parler, Getter, Telegram. You can watch us by downloading the Salem News Channel app, and for my unique analyses and direct access to me, go to my Substack, SebastianGorka.substack.com. That's my whole name, one word, SebastianGorka.substack.com. We'll be back with Alex Marlow after these messages. Wisdoms with regards to Elon Vivek, the president, and the MAGA base. Do you subscribe to this is a storm in a teacup, we're only talking about 75,000 visas anyway? Or is this the left trying to put a cleavage point between Elon and the president? Or is it more significant in your take?
Yeah, I think it's a first principles issue. We don't like the H-1B program. It's rife for corruption. It's designed specifically to benefit the corporate hotshots so that they can import cheaper labor to undermine Americans and American families who are a part of our system. So the program's a disgrace, and anyone who backs the program is not in tune with the America First movement. And this statement that Vivek put out, which I spent a lot of time on my podcast today, breaking down the Alex Marlow show, which we should plug that.
Yes.
I want to share it. The statement it's idiotic, and Vivek is a very bright guy. I like him a lot as a person, but he did not workshop this statement. It's that we're spending too much time watching Friends and going to sleepovers, and like that's the problem with this country. We lead the world in every single major factor, and there's no one catching us. It's we want to be better, but we don't need to import a bunch of people to do jobs that Americans are already doing for a slightly cheaper rate because we watch Friends too much. I don't know how someone let him go live with this. So I find it to be pretty disturbing. So,
but what do you put it down to? Is it ideological? Is it he's just out of touch? What is it?
Out of touch, yeah, because he's a CEO, and we're not corporatists.
Yeah, but it's the America
First movement. But part of the America First movement, Dr. G, that's so important is that we're led by the people. We're by the people and for the people. We're not by the corporations and for the corporations. And the path to a meaningful life is not through just working 80 hours a week for Facebook. Like that's not it. And that's sort of what's implied here. That's the subtext.
And when you see these people trying to, cut the Gordian knot and say, well, the education system is so crap that we don't have Americans who are qualified in those numbers. What's your response to that?
It's not that many. It's of course there's Americans qualified in those numbers. I mean, that's the whole point. If it's 100,000 people,
right.
Of course there's 100,000 Americans who do these jobs. They just want 10% more money. I mean, it's the open secret, and everyone knows it.
Right.
But Americans we're individuals, and we're tougher to corral the way.
There's a bigger point here, and it's the philosophical point that it's about as you said, it's about Americans. It's not just about the economy. And that's what MAGA's really about. It's about the people, right?
Yeah, if you look at America as an economy, you completely understand where Musk and Vivek are coming from. And I understand it.
All right. I gotta hit that very quickly at the beginning because that's so good. Please. And then we'll do the Jennifer Rubin thing because that's also too good. All right.
I also think it blew up way more because the way that Vivek wrote that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The sloppy way.
Terrible statement.
Yeah. We are back with Alex Marlow. He of the, wait for it, Alex Marlow podcast, the newest team member on Salem, because Salem is the best. Come on, guys. Go and subscribe today. It's free. Are you having fun on the Salem network, Alex?
I love it. Everyone just treats me so well. They always have. It's such great people. And it's a nice combination of people are pros on the broadcasting side, but they're intellectual people. You never have a bad conversation with this single Salem host ever. And I do love that because I'm a lifelong learner. That's what's going to make the show good. Dr. G, when I start getting arrogant and stop being curious, that's when the show's going to suffer. So,
subscribe now, as our founder Ed Atzinger said, the best faculty in radio and podcasts. It is a true faculty, the Alex Marlow Show, author of Breaking Biden. Okay, I got to squeeze in two topics very quickly. First, we discussed it in the break. The H-1B visa issue is best understood. I loved what you said. You got to go beyond economics. We have to understand that America First is about the people, not just the bottom line. Right, Alex?
Yeah, exactly right. If you look at America purely as an economy, as a lot of the globalists who've led our country over the past several decades do, then you understand the H-1Bs because you import people who are going to undercut wages by 10% or so. That allows the corporations to have a little bit more budget to do whatever R&D they're going to do, increase CEO pay, whatever they feel like doing. It's their right to do that. And a lot of Americans feel like that's the way to go. But most Americans, according to the polls, don't like that. They think of America as a home, as a nation, as a culture, as a country, all those things. And people make up those things. And people who are individuals deserve to have dignity and respect. And part of that means that if you're part of a culture and a fabric of a country for decades or generations, you don't have your job taken by someone who does the exact same work for 10% lower wage because they are willing to do so and you're able to import them.
Right.
It's toxic for a culture. We already had this debate, Dr. G, 10 years ago, and our side won out. But we have to have it again today.
That's such a good point. We've had this debate already. All right. She may be, there's a lot of candidates. TDS candidate as patient zero. Who knows? But Jennifer Rubin just topped all of her lunacy with her just utter insult of 77 million Americans. Cut 9.
Okay. Why would ABC, Disney, the mouse, who has more money than God, settle with Donald Trump?
I honestly don't know.
You know, I've asked, why would ABC? But people ask me all the time, why is the media so mamsy-pamsy? And there are two explanations. The one is they are convinced that if they would just move a little bit to the right, all those MAGA readers out there, now you'll notice the contradiction in terms, MAGA readers, would pick up the Washington Post and they would have more readers. What is the logical fallacy here? Yes, reader.
I'm still trying to work out what namsy-pamsy is. MAGA readers, ha, 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 ha. Isn't it delicious that they've learned nothing and they're actually digging themselves deeper, Alex?
Yeah, well, it's the elitism and the condescension is really bad. I mean, if you think about Mark Levin's American Marxism sold over 1 million copies. It's the I got a new book deal. I got my third book deal from a major publisher from Simon & Schuster, one of the biggest in the game. It's the why do you think they're giving me book deals? Because conservatives buy books, MAGA people buy books, and we read them. So I don't know It's just not true that we're not readers. We're actually an intellectual movement. It's part of why we're having this H-1B debates, because people are actually coached up on the issue. They've been reading about it for a long time.
So what does that mean? In 2 years, it's going to be an even bigger trans thing for the Democrats, Alex?
I think so. I mean, it's if Trump keeps his promises, I think so. But I just love Jennifer Rubin. I hope she doesn't go away. I like to play a palate cleanser on the Alex Marlow show for saying Republicans want to kill your kids. Whenever I need a segue and I don't have a good one, I'll play that. Her just saying Republicans want to kill your kids. She's so out of it, and I hope they keep giving her platforms. I don't know why they keep doing it. These people failed the left, but they keep doing it, and I think we're going to benefit in the talk radio world because of it.
Did you see the little flex there? I just got a book deal from one of the big guys. Why? Because he's our latest podcaster here on Salem. You got to subscribe to the Alex Marlow podcast and follow him at Alex Marlow. I'm Sebastian Gorka. This is America First. And